AI is transforming the way we approach everyday tasks in work and in life. Using AI can help you get routine things done more quickly and empower you to spend more time in places where you can have the most impact. Think about your typical day at work. If it's anything like mine, you have a lot of things to do and never enough time. Some days your to-do list might seem never-ending. But what if AI could help? As a fellow UX professional, I'm here to share a few situations you may encounter where AI can help you work smarter and faster. And I'll show you how to do it. You'll discover how to use AI to help iterate on design ideas, develop copy for your portfolio website, and more. My name is Paolo, and I'm a director of UX in Google Maps, where I get to work with an amazing team of UXers across a number of products. For example, Google Maps for automotive and driving, and Waze for community-powered navigation. I also work on Google Earth and Earth Engine to serve people that research and make decisions about sustainability, and on Google Maps platform to enable developers to build great experiences powered by Google Maps. Generative AI helps me work more efficiently and creatively, so I'm excited to share how I'm using it. To get the most out of generative AI, or GenAI, it's important to write an effective prompt. A prompt is the input you provide to the GenAI model to elicit a specific response. A good prompt follows a simple framework: task, context, references, evaluate, and iterate, or TCREI. If you ever forget a step, just remember: thoughtfully create really excellent inputs. First is task. What do you want the model to do? Fairly simple and straightforward, right? We can break task into persona and format. Persona refers to what expertise you want the generative AI tool to draw from. You can ask the tool to take on a persona, like a professional speechwriter or a marketing executive with 15 years of experience. Or you can ask it to create output for a specific audience, like a customer or your manager. You can be as detailed as you'd like when adding a persona to your task. Format refers to how you want the output to appear, whether that's a bulleted list, short sentences, or a table. And keep in mind, the task should be clear and specific about what you want the model to do. Next, you'll include context. These are the necessary details to help the GenAI tool understand what you need from it. This is the difference between writing, "Give me some ideas for a birthday present under $30, and "Give me 5 ideas for a birthday present. My budget is $30. The gift is for a 29-year-old who loves winter sports and has recently switched from snowboarding to skiing." Third, sometimes you'll add references for the GenAI tool to use while creating its output. You just asked the GenAI tool to give you ideas for a birthday present, right? Well, if you add examples of birthday presents you've given in the past as references, then the GenAI tool can give you a more useful output. Keep in mind, there aren't always going to be clear references of what you need, especially if you're working on something more abstract or searching for ideas and inspiration. Prompting is all about being clear and specific in your instructions. Use natural language. Write as if you're speaking to another person and express complete thoughts. Okay, so you've included the task, context, and references in your prompt. Once you have the output, it's time to evaluate. Ask yourself if the input you provided gave you the output you needed. This leads us to the final part of the framework: iterate. If you evaluate your output and determine that you're not getting what you need, you can try again by adding more information or editing your prompt. Iterating is a key part of prompting effectively. One more note on the framework. There are plenty of ways to construct an effective prompt. The order of how you construct a prompt is less important than the substance of the prompt itself. As long as you're thoughtfully creating really excellent inputs, your outputs should be great. As we explore how to use GenAI as a UX professional, keep in mind that GenAI works best when used as a complement to our uniquely human skills and abilities. You should always use GenAI responsibly by applying a human-in-the-loop approach. AI is a useful tool to help you accomplish tasks, but it requires human involvement. No GenAI tool has the depth of experience, practical knowledge, and interactive skills that we do. That's why a human-in-the-loop approach is key to using AI responsibly. It combines machine and human intelligence to train, use, verify, and refine AI results. In practical terms, this means being mindful of what you put into a GenAI tool and always evaluating and verifying what comes out. When you work with GenAI tools, carefully consider if you need to use confidential or sensitive information to perform your task, and always consult your organization's rules or policies first. Even when you're using GenAI tools outside of work, you should avoid entering personal or confidential information, and always check how the data you enter might be used. One last thing. There are a lot of GenAI tools out there. I'm going to demonstrate how to prompt using Gemini, but all of the techniques and best practices you'll learn can be applied to other GenAI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, or Claude. UX design is all about stepping into a user's shoes and creating experiences that address their needs. AI is enhancing UX design by streamlining repetitive and tedious tasks, which allows designers to focus on more creative and strategic aspects of the design process. For instance, GenAI tools provide the ability to analyze user behavior and preferences at scale. This empowers us to create more personalized and user-centric experiences, leading to increased user engagement and satisfaction. GenAI can also help us quickly test out new ideas, which speeds up the design process and gets new products and features out the door faster. And of course, generative AI can help us prototype faster too. It's an exciting time in the field. So, let's get started. When I started learning about UX design, it was like seeing the world through a whole new lens. I started noticing every little detail about how things worked or didn't work. Our mission as UX designers is to make sure people have positive experiences with the products and services they use. That means finding out what users need, what they like, and where a product could be improved. Creating personas is an important part of the empathize phase of the design process. As a reminder, in the world of UX, personas are the fictional users whose goals and characteristics represent the needs of a larger group of users. These personas are built from user research, which might include surveys, interviews, observation sessions, in-product feedback, or even some research on your competitors' products. And there's a way to develop personas more quickly and easily with the help of GenAI. As I mentioned earlier, I work with maps and navigation products. For this example, let's imagine my team has been asked to think about how people are getting information about our city's public transportation routes. There have been some usability issues reported, specifically around the city's digital and physical maps for the transportation system. We've collected some initial user research. Now, we need to create a design brief before we start work. For our brief, we want some ideas for personas to make sure we tackle the right design challenges. GenAI can help give us a starting point for those personas based on the research we already have on hand. I could write a prompt like this. I am a user experience designer focused on improving the physical and digital maps for the public transportation system, mostly rail and bus services in our city. We have received consistently high levels of user feedback about dissatisfaction with the current maps. Propose 4 possible personas with descriptions that can be used for the initial design brief based on the following summary of recent user research. And to provide Gemini with the background it needs, I'm going to copy and paste a research summary about our users. It includes a demographic description of the target audience, their product usage patterns, some of the benefits they experience, and features we could develop. There are some good ideas here to help us get started. These personas offer valuable insights into the needs of our target users. This understanding will allow us to design maps and information systems that effectively address their goals, frustrations, and needs. Let's check out the occasional explorer. Gemini describes them here as someone who uses public transit for leisure activities, but they're often overwhelmed by the complexity of the current maps. This highlights the need for a more user-friendly and intuitive experience for infrequent riders. Using GenAI to help create personas can save you time so that you can spend it on other important things like really understanding what users want and need. Instead of sifting through mountains of research, we can more quickly jump into brainstorming and designing solutions that truly resonate with our users. Of course, these personas are just the beginning. We'll want to review the outputs carefully and refine them with our own ideas, research, and insights. But this gives us a huge head start. Beyond personas, GenAI can also help summarize themes from research. It's one of the ways my team uses GenAI to work more efficiently. For example, it can help analyze user feedback and develop key user segments, motivations, goals, and pain points. This saves time and helps capture important insights without missing any critical details. However, we know that data alone doesn't tell the whole story. We want to combine the insights from our research with the collective knowledge and experience of the people on our team. By incorporating diverse perspectives, we can create personas that are not only data-driven, but also deeply empathetic and reflective of our users' real needs and desires. As UX designers, we have the power to shape the way people interact with the world around them. By putting users at the center of our design process, we can create products and services that are not only functional and efficient, but also enjoyable and meaningful. Coming up with ideas, whether they're for a work project or a dinner with friends, can be a lot of fun, especially when the creativity is flowing. But if you're like me, there are times when you could use a little boost of inspiration to help with brainstorming. This is especially true when I'm iterating on design ideas and want to have a wide variety of options. And this is where GenAI tools can come in. They can help us rapidly explore a wider range of possibilities, spark those aha moments, and even uncover tricky edge cases we might otherwise miss. It's like having a team of diverse thinkers at our fingertips, all working in the blink of an eye. Consider the scenario. Imagine we're working together on a new language learning app. We want to make sure the app is engaging and easy for users to navigate. We've come up with a few design ideas already, but it feels like we might be missing something. I'm just not sure what. I could enter a prompt like this into Gemini. I'm a user experience designer working on a language learning app. Provide feedback and suggestions for iteration on the following design ideas I've drafted so far. My goal is to make the app more engaging for users. Now, I'll copy and paste the design ideas I have already drafted into the prompt. Why do you think I provided Gemini with a list of the ideas I already had? Well, that was me adding the context and references we talked about in the prompting framework. The more information and details I can add to my prompt, the more Gemini can build on that, instead of just returning ideas I already had myself. These clear and specific details make the output a lot more useful and relevant for my project. So let's check that output. Gemini gives some interesting suggestions for how to make my app more engaging. It covered all the bases, from visualizing the user journey and performing content audits, to testing for accessibility, mobile optimization, and load times. This gives me a few more angles to consider when I'm designing this app. Remember, while GenAI can be helpful for iterating on design ideas, you still always need human collaboration to refine and implement these ideas effectively. There are other situations where GenAI can help you come up with creative ideas too. Need some suggestions for icebreaker activities that you can use at an upcoming meeting? How about an outline for a meeting agenda? Or a summary that highlights the key takeaways afterwards? Try it out for yourself and see how GenAI can help next time you're brainstorming. You might have a brilliant design idea, but if you can't explain it clearly, people won't be able to get behind it. Conveying ideas effectively and concisely can be challenging, but it's a crucial part of our work as UX professionals. You can use GenAI to help communicate ideas to stakeholders. For example, I've asked GenAI tools for advice on how to present complex design concepts in simple terms, using language that everyone can understand. And I've used it to structure the content of my presentations to make sure they're organized, engaging, and easy to follow. This saves me time and makes my ideas easier to understand. Let me share a specific example. Imagine I've written a proposal that makes sense to me and other UX designers. But after sharing it with a few of my cross-functional teammates, I've realized that the proposal uses terms that most people don't understand, and it's confusing for people who aren't familiar with the design process. I want Gemini to help translate my UX-focused writing into language that's easy for everyone to understand. I'm going to start by prompting Gemini. Help me brainstorm jargon-free, succinct, and clear alternative versions of the following statement. so that it's easily understood by a broad user experience design cross-functional team like marketers and engineers. Iterative affinity mapping facilitated the identification of key personas to inform the creation of low-fidelity wireframes for heuristic evaluation. The response has a variety of useful options that simplify the message, organized into categories such as short and sweet or more descriptive. I can use one of these new suggestions in my proposal to make sure it's easy for my colleagues who aren't UXers to understand. This example focuses on just one sentence of my proposal. You could apply a prompt like this to help you rewrite a variety of sentences, documents, emails, and more. And remember, the prompt framework we discussed earlier, TCREI, this is where we put the E, or evaluate, into action. As I'm reviewing the output, I might find that Gemini gave me some good choices to make this language easier to understand. But I still want a few more. This is where the I, or iterate, comes in. I can iterate on the prompt to get more accurate or more useful results. Or I can iterate to get other suggestions that I might prefer. As a reminder, iteration is the process of refining and improving your prompts and outputs through repeated cycles of testing and adjustment. Here are a few tips you can keep in mind. When you evaluated your prompt, did you find any areas where the output didn't align to your expectations? If so, there may be opportunities to provide the GenAI tool with more specific guidance about what you need. Remember, a GenAI tool can only provide results based on what you tell it to do. So make sure your prompt has enough detail to get a useful response. Or think back to the R in our prompting framework, references. Can you share an example of what you were expecting? Providing examples in your prompts can help the GenAI tool understand what you want. If you're hoping to find a specific format or type of analysis, show the GenAI tool an example. Another thing you can do is check your phrasing. Were you as clear as possible? Try breaking your instructions into shorter sentences. This can help you improve the output next time. Are there parts of the output that you did like? For example, imagine the GenAI tool gave you 5 ideas for a brainstorm and you liked 2 of them. In your next prompt, explain why you like those 2, and ask the tool to provide a new list of ideas based on your reasoning. You could even point out why you didn't like the other 3 ideas, and ask the tool to take that into account for the next time around too. It's easy to forget that not everyone speaks UX, especially when you get used to using the jargon every day. GenAI can help you get your ideas across clearly so that your brilliant designs can shine through. Just remember to always review the outputs and check that they're accurate, tailored to your audience, and sprinkled with your own insights. So what are you waiting for? Give this a try for yourself. If you don't know where to begin, pick a passage from this certificate program that you found tricky to grasp and experiment with GenAI by asking it to make the passage easier to understand. Ever felt overwhelmed trying to keep up with all the design guidelines out there? You're not alone. GenAI helps me stay up to speed by providing quick and comprehensive answers to any questions I may have, and it can be a real game changer when it comes to understanding complex design frameworks. I used to rely on announcements, guides, videos, and discussions with colleagues to build my knowledge. Now, it's much faster to use GenAI to inquire about design system updates. And with GenAI helping me handle the research and validation, I have more time to focus on what I love to do, designing incredible experiences. Imagine having a personal design expert on call 24/7. That's the power of generative AI. Need a quick refresher on color palettes or typography pairings? Just ask, and GenAI can help sift through the information for you. And of course, remember that GenAI can't replace nuanced insights from subject matter experts, which are critical for the right application of design principles. That's the human-in-the-loop approach I mentioned earlier. So, for this example, let's think about Google Material Design, an open-source design framework created by Google. Let me show you how GenAI can help quickly reference and understand design frameworks like this one. And it's a nice bonus that GenAI tools understand UX industry jargon. For example, when writing a prompt, I can refer to Google Material Design as m3.material.io. And if I need a call to action, I can just type CTA. With this in mind, I could ask something like, using m3.material.io, identify the best practices for dialogue with 2 buttons in a mobile app for language learning versus a travel reservation website. I would like to know the following. 1. Placement. Should the buttons be aligned to the left or right? 2. If you have two calls to action, CTAs, and one is cancel, should that be to the left or right of the other button? 3. If you have two CTAs, what should be the style of each button? Fill, text? The output helps me get a better sense of the latest best practices around button placement and style. I would have spent a fair amount of time hunting down these approaches, but Gemini sought out and synthesized the answers in a fraction of the time it would have taken me to do it manually. You'll still need human experts to critique and review designs, but GenAI can be an efficient, time-saving resource to give you overviews of design standards and to keep you updated when things change. And with all of the information and innovations coming at us every day, who can use a little help with that? Before we wrap up this example, I want to leave you with a pro tip. As you may have noticed, there are a couple ways to input prompts in Gemini. Standard typing, and if you don't want to type, you can also activate the microphone feature. This lets you quickly add more information, start a new prompt, or iterate on an existing prompt, all using your voice. As a new UX designer, you've been working to develop a portfolio that showcases your designs. After all, your portfolio is one of the keys to landing a job in the field. And while your design chops are strong, that's only part of showcasing your work. You also need to write engaging copy within your portfolio website to help your work stand out to potential employers or clients. Let's explore how GenAI can help you tell a good story, one that shines the best possible light on your design work and gets people interested in what you have to offer. If you share the key details about your project, GenAI can help you write a compelling narrative. You can use a GenAI tool to make sure the language on your portfolio website is engaging and professional. You can ask it to help you write your bio or a case study. And when you start your job search, you can even use it to help with your elevator pitch or to practice answering interview questions. GenAI is a great help when it comes to writing and storytelling. You can use suggestions from a GenAI tool as a starting place and add your own personal touch to bring your portfolio to life. While I'm a director of UX now, if I were in your shoes, I might want to use GenAI to help me write an engaging introduction to one of my case studies. Here's how I could ask Gemini to help. I need to create a new case study for my user experience design portfolio website based on the mobile app I recently developed. Help me write a narrative for the introduction based on the following information. And I'll copy and paste these details about my project. Gemini's response provided a nicely framed overview of my process, written in the first person. It left placeholders for me to add a description of the app's purpose and users, since I didn't include that information in my prompt. I could take these suggestions as a starting place, then flesh out my app story and ask Gemini to continue writing the case study based on these additional details. This is just one example of how Gemini can help you develop copy. Think of all the other places where you may want to have a GenAI tool help you write. One of my personal favorites is having it help me develop copy for design mocks. With a little help from GenAI, this copy can be so much more impactful than the lorem ipsum we used to use. As you've probably noticed, GenAI excels at helping to generate content. It can help evaluate content too. For example, you can include a snippet of copy you've written for your LinkedIn bio or your portfolio and ask a GenAI tool how you might come across to a potential employer. Playing and experimenting with prompts is the best way to figure out how to get results that are useful for you. Getting the output you want can be a journey sometimes. And the only way to get there is to get comfortable, explore, and learn what path works for you. Just like any new technology, we all need to try, test, and play in order to learn how to use GenAI. I really enjoyed being able to share some of the ways I'm using GenAI in my work as a UX designer, from iterating on design ideas to communicating with stakeholders. I hope this can help you start to use GenAI in your role. My challenge for you: think about the work you're already doing. Is there something that's taking you a lot of time? A project where you need some ideas to get started? Commit to experimenting with GenAI for something that will make a real difference to you and your work.